Hey friends, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish. Today, I am going to be running a gauntlet using the Shadowdark RPG rules. This is video 2 of a 3-video series. The first video, I did a deep dive of Shadowdark itself. So if you want to learn more about what Shadowdark is, how it works, what the differences are between this and like 5th edition, what are the different styles, what are the different sort of elements of gameplay, there's a whole other video, I will link to it in the show notes that you can watch, that tell you all about Shadowdark overall from my read-through. And again, clarify, it's a read-through where I haven't yet played because I'm playing my first Shadowdark game later today. Today, in this video, we are going to talk about my prep and getting my head around running a Shadowdark Gauntlet. So a Shadowdark Gauntlet, the way the Gauntlet works is that the players all start with 0-level characters. And 0-level characters are extremely delicate. They usually have 1 to 2 hit points and they die at 0. Which means if they get hit, they're probably dead. Most of the time, if they get hit, they're probably dead. So what fun is that? Well, the fun is that you actually don't just have one character. You actually have a big stack of characters. I actually printed 40 character sheets for today's game. There's a really, really excellent tool. We'll jump to it right now called Shadowdarklings. Shadowdarklings.net is a Shadowdark character generator. And one of the things you can do is go to create and you want a random 0 level character. And you can click this random 4 times 0. And it gives you 4 characters, which you can then export to PDF. And you get 4 characters on a PDF ready to go. So I just hammered out 10 of those and I printed 10 sheets and I took out my paper cutter and I cut them and now I've got 40 characters ready to go, which means, and I have about 4 to 6 players that are coming today, which means I've got a whole lot of characters for them to use. So you look at it and you're like, well, what fun. Like, I've actually been thinking of the stack of character sheets like those are hit points. Like instead of hit points, you have characters and you just go through characters. And the idea for the gauntlet is that you go through like a pretty traditional game, but if your character dies, another character almost immediately jumps in. You come up with some arbitrary reason why that new character comes in. I actually have a good one for the game that I'm running today, why a new character would show up. And you can start a new character right away. So the big problem, to me, the number one problem with character death in any of these role-playing games is what do you do with the player? The player's still sitting there. They drove over to your house. They've got all their stuff. Their dice is in front of them. They want to keep playing. How do they keep playing when their character died? Well, in this case, in a gauntlet, it's expected that you're going to die. Everyone's dying. Like all the characters. It would be very interesting if you have a lot of battles, if anybody manages to keep a character that survives the whole time. It could happen. Just characters miss, monsters miss, and everything else. But at least you have a way to put another character sheet in front of a player and they can jump right back into the game because that's what really matters most. Now, it does mean that the gauntlet is going to feel a little bit more like running the board game dungeon than it's going to feel like a traditional role-playing game because you can, how much backstory? I had this joke that like, yes, you can have 40 character sheets, but I expect a 6-page backstory for every single one of them. I want to hear about their how they grew up and what kind of stuff that, what kind of life experiences they had and how bad they feel about that situation with them. Oh, they got shot in the eye with an arrow and they're dead. What's like, oh, Reginald, forgive me. And then they die. Like, I had this idea that they should have lots of backstory, but the reality is they're just going to die like crazy. So that's cool. So this whole idea of the gauntlet is baked into Shadowdark. Shadowdark expects level 1 to 10, but it definitely has a whole section about how to build level 0 characters, and then has a section in the book, a page in the book called the Gauntlet, which is this idea that one way to sort of figure out which character you're going to be going with is to roll through lots of characters in a situation known as the Gauntlet and run it. So then I was like, okay, well, I want to do this, right? I have this opportunity for my group today. I want to try running the Gauntlet. Which one do I run? And I asked around and people mentioned Cursed Scroll number 3, which was available as part of the Kickstarter for the Shadowdark RPG. So I got a copy. It is called The Midnight Sun is the name of the overall theme, and is sort of Viking stuff. Right? Viking stuff is sort of the overall theme. Really cool. Sort of raiders and, different sort of like islands and longboats and cool stuff like that. You can't read this. You have to turn sideways. The Isles of, I can't even see what that says. Andric. The Isles of Andric. So, but one of the things that this book has is it has a thing called the Hoard of the Seawolf King. And the Hoard of the Seawolf King is a 0-level gauntlet adventure for Shadowdark. And I'm like, Perfect. That's what I want. What I really wanted, because I want to get the full Shadowdark experience. I want to understand it. So I wanted an adventure that's actually written by Kelsey Dion, who created Shadowdark. I was hoping to get an adventure that she wrote so that I could see, like, from the creator directly to me, what's the style of game. So Hoard of the Seawolf King is built as a zero level adventure, which works really well. And the whole idea is that there's a bunch of sea caves for an old tomb of a guy named King Skorgald. He had a bunch of drama with his kids, I guess. There's some backstory about the drama with the kids. But essentially, you start at a main entrance and you work your way through. Now, one of the things that I had to kind of figure out is, okay, what does success look like in this? Because it wasn't exactly clear to me when I read the adventure. Like, I know that the general idea of a gauntlet is that you go on an adventure and whoever survives the adventure, that's your new character and that's your first level character. But what does that mean? Because you can survive by getting right back in the boat and churning right around and leaving and not getting anything. So survival, a lot of times what somebody would tell you, what's the goal of a gauntlet? They would say survival, except not really, because you could just leave, right? Why go in there? So it's like, well, you're supposed to go on an adventure. Well, what does that mean? Do I go in the first room and I see a stingbat and I go, oh, F that, and I turn around and leave? Did I now succeed in surviving because I didn't fight the stinkbat? Stinkbats are what they should have been. Stingbat. Probably not. So then the question is, well, what should they do? So I think I'm going to be a little loosey-goosey about the goal, but the goal is like you have to prove yourself to your tribe. That's kind of the thing that I'm going to say. Like, you need to prove that you have something. Coming back with a powerful magic item, coming back with a significant treasure, something that, you know, again, an XP 3 level treasure, something unique. A handful of coins isn't going to do it, right? But like this, you know, I mean, there's in one spot where there's like a silver sword. Maybe that's enough, but probably not enough for the whole group. You know, this is one where I would probably push them forward. You look at that sword and you think like, maybe that could get you part of the tribe, but maybe not. So now, obviously, a true victory, and I'll probably tell them this up front, if you can recover the Axe of Nine Eyes, this magical, mystical axe, if you can get that and you come back with that, you will not just come back as a good hero worthy of being part of the military forces of your tribe, but be part of the warrior caste of your tribe. You'll be something really special. And then put that in there. So like, oh, we need to go get that axe. We need to come back with that axe, right? So I want to put something in there like that. And obviously it's supposed to be a little loose because if not, they would just tell us what to do. But that idea of like, what's the goal, I think is really important. One thing I'm going to do up front that I think is going to be really fun is I'm going to do sort of a mini session 0. And actually, I think what I would like to do today is bring up my Notion notebook. We are going to go to the lazy campaign thing here. And I have a single page and we are going to duplicate that because I'm only running this for one. And I'm going to move this we're going to move it to notes. And now in notes, I have my prep template and we're going to go, what's the name of this adventure? The In-World Session 0. And I want to have a sea wolf describe for them what they can expect. And her name, the sea wolf that I am going to use is her. She's going to be the sea wolf. Look at her. She's badass, isn't she? I need a name. I need a sea wolf name. I think there's a bunch of random names in here somewhere. In the Shadowdark RPG itself are a bunch of names. She'd be human. Hesta. Sea wolf Hesta. We're just going to use... Why not just use the very first one? Make our lives easy. Sea wolf Hesta describes the Gauntlet. Number 1, a warrior of the sea wolves must accept their own death, which is likely. It's one thing to accept death sitting here on the beach thinking about your fancy treasure and glory. It's something else to accept death after a rune bear has torn open your belly and is playing around with your innards. Cat's cradle with your innards. This is like, so, I want to do an in-game version because one of the things that's really clear about running like a gauntlet like this with these 0-level characters in a really lethal RPG is players could say, oh yeah, that sounds really fun. I like the idea of a really lethal RPG. And they're like, great, your character's dead. And they're like, I hate this. This game sucks. That how we feel when it happens is different than how we feel when we're thinking about it in the future. I've learned this in 5th edition games. I've learned this in RPGs overall, that games that are considered very lethal, you might get it until it actually happens, and then you're not really happening. So I like the idea that a character is telling them up front. We still expect you to act with honor. No stealing or fighting your allies unless your ally is already on board. So I want to do that. No hanky-panky or ballyhoo. Everyone is a potential warrior. Right now, you are all meat, but you all the same meat. No one is better or worse than you. I don't know the best way, like, no racism, sexism, misogyny. Your goal is to come back with fortune and glory. Prove you are worthy of the warriors of the Sea Wolves. I don't know if their name is actually the Sea Wolves, but I guess we're going to go with that. Your goal is to come back with fortune and glory. Prove your worth, worth becoming one of the warriors of the Sea Wolves. A few coins won't do it. A broken blade won't do it. Find something notable. Come back with a story you want to share with your grandchildren. No lollygagging, horseplay, or hootenanny. I like that. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's a good one. Fortune and glory together. Prove you can fight alongside your friends, even when the gleam of gold shines in your eyes, or, your belly gets ripped open by a rune bear. Find something remarkable. I will probably, out of character, mention the pause for a minute, right? No harm to children or domestic animals. What else does a session 0 need? So this group has been together. We just did a session 0 for Scarlet Citadel, so none of this is going to be a surprise to them, but it's always nice to kind of, bring back. Is there any other, from a safety tool perspective, are there any other hard lines? The hootenanny and lollygagging and ballyhoo is certainly there. Any other category? I don't think so. Not gonna worry about scenes. Secrets and clues. I would like to. There are some fantastic locations we're not going to worry about. NPCs I don't think we're going to worry about. Monsters we're not going to worry about. Treasure we're not going to worry about. So we really don't need to worry about anything else. But I think it would be useful. So we have our strong start and we have some secrets and clues, and everything else is kind of in the adventure. But there are some secrets and clues in here that we want to include. They have some of them right there in the rumors. These guys right here. Just grab those and throw them right into our secrets. I don't even know if I'm going to use these notes, by the way, but it can kind of help. The gods have spoken. Caves are filled with chambers built by Dverg, clever magical people who allied with King Skorval long ago. Never touch the body of a dead woman. That's good advice in general. Skorval built his funerary longboat in the caves, but he's not buried inside it. Many folk who claim to be Skorvald's descendants search for the caves of the Hoard, but none have returned. If Skorvald's treasure is in the caves, it's surely not in plain sight. He was fond of secret chambers. One thing I wanted to look at real quick, though, is I think there's more. So those are all good, and I don't know if are there any of the rumors. Of the rumors, none of them appear to be false. So we have some monsters in here. Not going to worry about those guys until I need them. I want a little bit of lore. I've got some spells here. This is all from Curse Scroll 3. I'm scrolling through in reverse order because why not? Ooh, look, sea encounters. It's kind of fun. Monastery. Oaths, kind of fun. Boats, gear, gameplay. The old gods. Odin, Freya, and Loki. Very cool. Oh, there's Nord names. I knew it. Well, I already picked a name. New Seer class and a Sea Wolf class. So I'm going to grab these. I don't know. The idea of like Viking raids doesn't sit well with me. The sort of glorification of Viking raids doesn't grab me. So during the Midnight Sun, raiders often attack sea wolf villages. The sea wolves strengthen themselves to defend against such raids. Say like devil worshipping raiders. So that's good. Wolves test their people to find those strong enough to serve as in the warrior cast. They do so in an event known as the Gauntlet. Many have tried to recover King Skorgald's legendary axe. None have done so. So this is some good secrets. I'm pretty happy with that. I have a good idea. I think I have an idea. I want to do it. So I've just watched the movie The Ritual again. If you have not seen The Ritual, and this is going to be full of spoilers. So if you want to see the movie The Ritual, you probably want to skip ahead. The Ritual's on Netflix. It is an awesome horror movie. One of my favorites. But I'm going to steal an idea from the movie The Ritual. So, and that is Mordor. The raiders worship a bastard offspring of the god Loki called Mordor. So I kind of dig this idea. So there's like the sea wolves. What would these other guys, what would they be called? The cult of Mordor, right? Known as of Mordor. This cult often attacks sea wolf villages. That works. That's good enough. So I think I've got lots of good secrets here to reveal. I think even in like a gauntlet like this where I can't spend any time knowing the characters because we have 40 characters and they're going to die like flies. So I'm not going to worry about that. I do want to have like a strong start where that kind of tells them what they're supposed to do. And I think this is fun, right? This idea that like if they want to prove themselves to join the warrior cast, you know, and I kind of dig like the ring the bell, right? You know, if any of you don't feel worthy of joining the warrior cast, and if I tell you about this and the descriptions of the bear and disemboweling you is too much, you can just leave now and then just grab another character sheet, put that guy on the bottom, right? Like until you pick a character that's there for it. But what I want to like make clear is like you're going to die a lot. Like most of you won't survive, right? Most of you won't survive. Those that do will be worthy of protecting the sea wolves, of joining the warrior cast of the sea wolves. I'm not going to give them 4 to choose from. I'm going to give them 40 to choose from. Like we'll hand out 4 each, and then if those guys die, then we have more. So we have more than 4 characters per player, because I think they're going to die a lot. You got to almost expect that for every round of combat, you better have a character ready. So that's going to be a good time. But I think we are all set. I feel like I've got everything I need to run the Sea Wolf, the Hoard of the Sea Wolf King from Cursed Scroll number 3. And we're going to see how it goes. Like I'm nervous, but I'm not that nervous. Like my friends are my friends and we're excited to play. And I've talked to them and they all own it. Like they bought Shadowdark. Like they've spent a lot of their own time and energy. It's not anybody who's like, I've never heard of it and I don't know if I want to play it. All of them are like, oh yeah, we heard about it and we want to try it. So my players are excited. I'm excited. I feel like I've got what I need. I've got printouts. I got my character sheets. I got like reference documents and everything. We're playing in person. We're playing here at my place. So I've got my big map ready to go. So I think we're all set. I hope this was interesting and useful, talking about the Gauntlet and how that's going to work. Again, there'll be a 3rd video. Probably I will shoot it tomorrow. It'll probably be released after this, where I talk about our experiences. What was it like? How did it work? How did we feel about Shadowdark from the Gauntlet experience? Recognizing that that's not going to be the full-fledged experience of Shadowdark overall, but how did it go? So it could be very short. We'll see how it goes. But I'm pretty excited for it. So thank you all very much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, you can subscribe to the Sly Flourish newsletter, where you get a weekly RPG-related email sent directly to your inbox, plus a free adventure generator PDF. You can also join the Patreon. Joining the Patreon gives you access to a dedicated Discord server, a monthly Q&A, Uncovered Secrets Volume 1 and 2, the City of Arches sourcebook, and a whole lot of other stuff. It's a really good deal. You can find that in the show notes below, and you can pick up any of my books, including Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, the Lazy DM's Workbook, or the Lazy DM's Companion, plus a lot more at the Sly Flourish Bookstore. Links for all that are in the show notes below. Thank you all very much. Have a great day, and get out there and play a role-playing game.